Jai Gurudev, and thank you for joining us today. Today again we have with us an art of living expert and an officer of the Vedic Dharma Sansthan. Today we are going to discuss about the Annabhishekam, which was performed for the first time last year in 2024 and is again going to be reconsecrated tomorrow in Vedic Dharma Sansthan. So what exactly is the Annabhishekam and why is it especially significant on Kartik Poornima? Anna means food or rice, or Annam and Abhishekam means bathing or anointing the deity or the Shivalingam with a dedicated material. In the case of Anna Abhishekam, cooked rice is used as a substance of Abhishekam. According to sacred texts, rice is a symbol of life, nourishment, and the union of the five elements the earth, water, fire, the energy, and air or wind. And space bathing the Shivalingam with rice is therefore a profound gesture of gratitude to the divine for sustaining life, our food, and our entire being. From the Vedic perspective, the full moon day of the Kartik moon month of Kartik or Kartik Purnima is highly auspicious. The lunar cycle culminates, the festival energy is elevated, and devotees across India perform special observances. Performing the Annabhishekam on that day magnifies its potency. We align the ritual of nourishment, the rice, with the fullness of the moon, representing fullness in one's spiritual life and material nourishment alike. Now, could you describe the origins or scriptural basis of the Annabhishekam? Historically, in the Shaiva tradition, rice or annam is regarded as the finest Naivedya food offering to the Lord, especially to the lingam of Lord Shiva. As the site explains, the annam is the best Naivedyam. Annam is placed as harvest in the Vedic Yajna. Similarly, the Annabhishekam is performed at the Shiva Linga. Many temple traditions in Tamil Nadu perform it annually in the month of Aipasi or mid October to mid November at the full noon. From our side, we recognize the ritual as strongly symbolic. When the food you offer is the very food you consume, the devotion becomes total. The centuries old temple practices, such as the Gangaikonda Cholapuram temple, attest to the grandeur and meaning of the large scale Annabhishekam. Now, what's the deeper spiritual meaning of using rice or annam for the ritual beyond the physical offering? The rice is the most basic staple for large parts of India. It sustains millions. Symbolically, it represents life itself, nourishment from the divine, and the interdependence of all beings. As one text states, rice is a symbol of life, richness, and prosperity. When we bathe the lingam with rice, we are acknowledging that everything we are, everything we eat is because of the divine grace that sustains the five elements. Additionally, the Vedic symbolism holds that food or annam is equated with the subtle life energy or the prana. Annam is the vital energy. The Vedas praise it as the annam na nishindyat. Aha Annam. So when we perform the Annabhishekam, we are offering back the very life force, expressing gratitude and surrender and inviting transformation from mere consumption to conscious offering. Now, how was the first ever online the Anna Abhishekam at the Ved Pathshala Gurukul in 2024 is structured? Could you walk us through the events as flow? Yes, Jagada, the event began at 4:30 p.m. IST, coinciding with the moonrise and auspicious full moon timing of Kartik Purnima. We had a live broadcast live. Thousands of devotees joined online from various countries. The sequence was invocation followed by chanting of the Sri Rudram and Chamakam hymns, special Vedic mantras invoking Lord Shiva's grace. Then the actual Abhishek come first with water, milk, curd, etc. and standard times, and then the cooked rice or annam. Bathing of the Shivalingam. After covering the lingam with cooked rice, the priests offered arati and distributed prasadam or rice virtually by inviting participants to receive blessings. From the VDS side, we ensured the materials were prepared at the center and the online stream tied the remote devotees into the sanctity of the movement. I would add, prior to the event, we carried out the puja for material preparation, cleansing of the space, setting the yaga chamber, and sourcing large quantities and quantities of rice cooked suitably, arranging for the lingam decoration and coordinating the live stream technicalities. The online joining allowed devotees globally to witness and feel connected to the sanctified ritual, which in many temples is only possible locally. Now, what made this particularly Annabhishekam first ever for your institution, and why was the online component introduced? Yes, traditionally, Annabhishekam has been a temple based physical event where devotees attended in person. At the Art of Living International Center in Bengaluru, we recognize that our global community online would like to participate. 2024 was the first time we bridged the temple ritual through an online medium, ensuring remote participation could be spiritually meaningful and not just a broadcast. Also, in the current globalized era, With the diaspora and digital connectivity, many devotees could not travel physically to the center on Kartik Purnima. By using online streaming plus a well structured ritual schedule, we expanded accessibility. Moreover, it was a service initiative feeding into the idea of universal participation, inclusion, and bridging traditional Vedic practices with contemporary outreach. Now, could you explain the choice of timing the 4:30 p.m. on 5th November 2025 for the upcoming event, and how is that determined? Yeah, the timing is determined by the lunar calendar and Muhurta or auspicious moment as per the Astroved listing. The Annabhishekam for 2025 is scheduled on 5 November 2025, full moon day, with the ceremony starting at around 4 p.m. IST. We choose 4:30 p.m. onwards so that devotees can join around moonrise, aligning with the full moon energy of Kartik Purnima. And the ritual flows towards the evening aarti. From our side, we also consider the convenience of global online attendees, many time zones, and local temple logistics, preparing rice, cooking, and peace. The sequence is designed so remote devotees have time to settle in online, receive orientation, then participate in chanting, abhishekam, and finally the concluding arati and prasadam. Now, in practical terms, how is the cooked rice prepared and used during Anna Abhishekam? Are there specific rituals around? Yes, Jagadav, the rice must be cooked fresh in large quantities. It is sometimes mixed with a little turmeric or other traditional items depending on the tradition. The lingam is first bathed with water, milk, curd, honey, ghee, and other items. The usual panchamrata abhisheka materials. Then the cooked rice or annam is poured or spread over the lingam, covering it. At some temples, vegetables or other items adorn the rice covered lingam. After the ritual, the rice is sometimes distributed as prasadam or in larger scale temples. It is poured into water bodies so as to feed fish and other life forms, not wasting any grain. From our online event, we ensure the rice prepared is part of the ritual and we invite remote devotees to mentally offer their own rice or food, even if at home, as a symbolic connection. The physical devotion is done at the center, and the live stream invites remote hearts to join in consciousness. Now, what are the spiritual and material benefits ascribed to participating in the Anna Abhishekam? Neither the texts and temple traditions say that participating in or witnessing the Anna Abhishekam can remove karmic obstacles, bring prosperity and abundance of food or annam, and overall well being. For example, performing or participating in Anna Abhishekam can bestow you with get rid of karmic problems, solve issues related to business, and gain prosperity. From our perspective, the act of offering the staple of life, the rise to the divine, cultivates gratitude, humility, and alignment with abundance, which opens the inner pathways for growth. On the material side, since rice is food for living beings, the ritual is also tied to food security, agriculture, and the well being of communities. Some temple traditions link the ritual to the prosperity of farmland and the increase in harvest. Thus, the benefits are multi layered: spiritual upliftment, inner transformation, and outward manifestation of prosperity and nourishment. Now, how does this event help online with the thousands of devotees, help maintain the sanctity of the ritual, and what measures are taken to preserve authenticity? And to preserve a sanctity, we ensure the core ritual or physical abhishekam happens at the center under proper Vedic procedures with qualified priests, proper mantras, and adherence to Muhurta and Mantra Shastra. The online component is supplementary in participation, not replacement of the physical ritual. We also provide orientation to online participants, encourage them to maintain silence, participate with devotion, avoid distractions, and mentally synchronize with the ritual. Additionally, we integrate meditative guidance during the broadcast, invitation to sit in quiet, take a few breaths, and then join in chanting or listening with full presence as though they were physically present. We emphasize that the real connection is in inner alignment. The outer broadcast is a bridge. By doing so, we keep the authenticity, the sacredness, and the unity of the devotion despite the remote participation. How is the theme of gratitude and nourishment emphasized in the way you frame the ritual, especially given our motto abundance, prosperity, and spiritual nourishment? In our introduction to the event, we speak of the ritual as an offering of the food that sustains us, the rise back to the divine who sustains all life. We invite devotees to reflect: I eat every day, therefore I live. This ritual honors life, I honor life. Through offering, the wording you provided about expressing gratitude and devotion by offering freshly prepared rice to the lingam, a prayer for abundance, prosperity, and spiritual nourishment, fits beautifully with our framing. Now, from the Vedic perspective, we draw attention to the interconnectedness of nourishment. The farmer who grows rice, the water and soil, the sun, the air, the cook who prepares it, the table on which we eat, and the divine who sustains it all. By offering rice, we symbolically give back to the source, say thank you, and align our consciousness with being nourished, being abundant, and being grateful. Now, what is the significance of having thousands of devotees join online rather than only in person, and how does that expand the meaning of the ritual? Yeah, the expansion of thousands to thousands of devotees online brings in good karma of service, universality, and inclusivity. When more people join, the collective vibration of devotion strengthens, the intention multiplies. Also, many devotees who cannot physically travel can still feel included. That strengthens the shared spiritual community. The rituals' meaning becomes global. The nourishment is not just individual, but collective from a practical Vedic angle. The more sincere devotees engage, the stronger the ritual energy. Technology is being utilized as a means to share the sacred load, while the core ritual remains at the center. The ripple effect of devotion reaches remote hearts. This also aligns with the samskar of Annabhishekam. Food and nourishment are universal, so the ritual becomes universal. Now, could you outline the preparatory practices that devotees joining online are encouraged to do beforehand? Example, internal attitude or environment or food or fasting. Yes, we suggest that before the broadcast begins, devotees find a quiet place, sit comfortably, do a short cleansing of the space, light a lamp, incense at a small tray with a little cooked rice or any food offering on a plate, then spend 5 to 10 minutes in silence, observing the breath, setting the intention. I am offering my nourishment to the divine. I receive the divine's nourishment in return. We also encourage participants to do a light sattvic meal earlier in the day, avoid heavy intoxication, and come with a closed or open mind for devotion. From our side, we remind participants of punctuality. Join before 4:30 p.m., dress modestly, switch off distractions, and treat the online session as a sacred ritual space. We also suggest having a clean plate of rice or simple food at the hand to symbolically offer through the physical rice. Bathing occurs at the center. Thus, this helps the remote participant engage in the ritual consciously. Now, during the ritual, what roles do chanting and mantra recitation play, and how do they integrate with the Abhishekam? Like the chanting and recitation of the Vedic mantras such as the Sri Rudram and Chamakam are central. The mantras invoke the presence of Shiva, the five elements, and the cosmic energy behind the ritual act. They sanctify the lingam, prepare the space, and coordinate the offering of materials. The Abhishekam or rice bathing is not just physical, it is activated by the mantra sound. Without the mantras, the ritual loses much of its potency. For the online participants, we encourage joining in silence or mantra listening with full attention. At key moments when the cooked rice is poured over the lingam, we invite a collective contemplation. May this offering of life sustaining rice be accepted by Shiva, and may my life also be sustained by divine grace. This integrated flow of mantra plus offering plus intention is what creates a spiritual momentum. Now, could you share a meaningful anecdote or example from the 2024 event, a moment that stood out for you? Yes, one moment stood out when we were covering the lingam with cooked rice. I looked at the live stream chat of remote participants, and many times I see the lingam covered in rice, or I feel connected, even though far away. That sense of collective devotion of remote hearts joining was very powerful. I felt the boundary between here and there dissolve. From the media side, I remember the moment of prasadam distribution. Although remote devotees could not physically receive the rice, we invited them to mentally receive it and share it at home with a small bowl of cooked rice. Some participants later shared that after the event, they offered the same rice to their families and felt blessed. It validated the expansion of the ritual beyond the physical temple walls. Now, for the 2025 event, are there any new elements or additions planned compared to 2024? For 2025, yes, we are increasing the scale. The broadcast will include multilingual commentary, so more devotees globally can follow. We will also include a short interactive segment at the end where devotees can light a lamp at home and synchronize with the center's lamps. Further, we might include a small session on how to continue the spirit of Annabhishekam in daily life. From our side, we are introducing a 5-minute guided meditation just before the ritual begins, inviting all online participants to align their breath and intention, thereby deepening their engagement. Also, we plan to share a downloadable PDF to the mantra sequence, meaning, and significance, so participants can keep it as a reference and perhaps replicate smaller offerings in their homes. Now, how do you think the ritual of Annabhishekam with the broader teachings of the art of living, example, breath work, meditation, and self transformation, and Sudarshan Kriyas? Together, the art of living emphasizes that external rituals serve as anchors for inner transformation. When a devotee performs or witnesses the Annabhishekam with devotion, it becomes a moment of surrender, of gratitude, of awareness, of nourishment, and interconnection. We tie it to our practices. The breath is the first food we take. Meditation is feeding the soul. Offering rice is offering our dependency and trust in the divine. Through this alignment, a ritual becomes meditative, transformative from a Vedic side. We see that any ritual, when done consciously, becomes a tool for prana purification, karma cleansing, and self elevation. The five stages of Abhishekam, the invocation, offering, bathing, arati, and prasada mirror the journey of a seeker, awakening, offering, purification, illumination, and integration. The art of living says emphasis on service, devotion, and inner silence dovetails naturally with Annabhishekam's essence. Now, many devotion practices emphasize Yes, many devotees, devotion practices emphasize food and offering. What is special about food or rice to the lingam of Lord Shiva in this ritual? The food, especially rice, is the most elemental offering. It feeds living beings. In the Vedic worldview, by offering food to the divine, we recognize the divine in everything: the rice, the cook, the farmer, the elements, the earth. When the lingam is bathed with the cooked rice, it symbolizes the offering of life itself. Annam is the best in Vedya. Annam is placed as Havis in the Vedic Yajna. In our context, offering rice is deeply symbolic. We may consume rice daily, but do we ever pause and offer gratitude for it? This ritual invites that pause, that bowing down. It elevates the act of eating into the act of offering. It elevates the material into the sacred, and in doing so, the devotee's relationship with food, nourishment, and life becomes transformed. Now, how do you counsel participants, especially those joining online, to integrate the fruits of this ritual into their everyday life? Jagadav, I suggest three simple steps. The first is gratitude. At each meal, pause for a moment and think, I offer this food to life. I receive life from the divine, and mindfulness. Eat consciously once in a week or daily. Slow down, feel the rice, food, recognize the process from seed to plate, and service. Share food, donate rice, feed someone who is hungry. This completes the offering circle. Additionally, I recommend keep a small bowl of cooked rice or grains in once a week. Offer it at home, say placing it on an altar or giving it as prasadam with a short prayer that keeps the ritual alive. During the sacred month of Kartik, one could also perform a simple home abhishekam of the photograph of Shiva or the lingam with a few grains of rice and a lamp, recalling the Anna Abhishekam event. Now, for devotees who cannot attend even online due to connectivity or time zone issues, how can they still connect with the spirit of this event? At the same time, date or later, sit quietly for 10 minutes, light a lamp, place a small plate of cooked rice or any food, and mentally synchronize with the ritual at the center. I join in spirit now. Use a downloadable mantra sheet to recite or listen to the mantras. Even later, offer some rice to a needy person dedicated to Lord Shiva and recall the Anna Bhishekam intention. We also provide the post event recording of the ritual on YouTube or highlight segments of the live broadcast. So participants in different zones can view. They can also write a small sankalpa or intention. May this rice offering remove my obstacles. May I be nourished materially and spiritually, and reaffirm that in their daily worship and home sadhana. Now, you mentioned that no grain should go to waste in the ritual. Can you elaborate on that and its significance? Yes, in many temple traditions, during Annabhishekam, after the lingam is covered with the cooked rice and the arti is done, the rice is distributed as prasadam or given to living beings, fish, birds, communities, so that nothing is wasted. For example, Tamil articles mention that after 1.5 hours of covering the lingam, the rice is then poured into the temple pond or river so all life can feed. The idea is the food offered to the divine becomes sacred and is meant to feed life, not be discarded. It completes the circle of offering, consecration, and sharing. From the service and spiritual perspective, when we respect every grain, we respect life, we respect the divine in everything. It becomes a practical teaching in sustainability, consciousness, and awareness. This aligns with the art of living's service dimension, feeding the hungry, not wasting food, and being mindful of our resources. Now, what is the significance of the full moon Poornima in the month of Kartik for this ritual? And the full moon day amplifies energies in many traditions. It represents fullness of light, fullness of consciousness in the month of Kartik or the Kartik Masam. Many observances are done to Lord Shiva and Vishnu. It is considered one of the most auspicious months for sadhana. Specifically, the Kartik Poornima is associated with the end of Chaturmasa, the 4 month period when the gods are believed to be asleep and they are awakening. It is also associated with victory of Lord Shiva, the Tripurari, over demons. Doing Annabhishekam on Kartik Purnima therefore connects the ritual of nourishment with the cosmic cycle of awakening and fullness, a symbolic renewal. Now, how do you measure or sense the impact of such a large scale devotional event, especially with the many join remotely? Impact is felt in many ways, witnessing devotion and dedication of participants, the messages and the feedback. Sense of community. Many remote attendees later share that they felt inner calm, clarity, and gratitude after the event. The practical results, some share business or personal issues got resolved, some feel stronger spirit of service. From our side, we also observe increased interest in related rituals, people requesting more information, people volunteering to offer rice or donating for next year's Annabhishekam. These are material signs of impact. The inner transformations are harder to quantify, but the testimonials are clear. Now, what is the relevance of this ritual for younger generations, especially myriads of students and youth who may not be connected to temple tradition? Rather, for the youth, such ceremonies provide a bridge between tradition and personal meaning. When we present the Annabhishekam not just as a rice poured on a lingam, but as offering life, recognizing interconnectedness, gratitude, and sustaining life, they can relate. We also encourage the youth to do mini versions at home, bringing their own creativity, drawing a small lingam, offering rice, and doing a minute of silence that builds a cultural awareness, spiritual sensitivity, and service attitude. Indeed, the ritual has educational potential. One can explain the agrarian roots of rice cultivation, the ecology of food, and the interdependence of elements. In that way, the Annabhishekam becomes not just religious ritual, but also a teaching responsibility, sustainability, and gratitude. When the youth engage, they carry their tradition forward meaningfully. Now, in the context of globalization and digital participation, what are the challenges and advantages of this hybrid temple plus online model? Yeah, good. Challenge is maintaining a ritual sanctity when so many join remotely, the time zone differences, ensuring internet stability, and making sure remote participants don't treat it as just a show but as a sincere devotion. The advantages are accessibility for global devotees, increased reach leads to more collective upliftment, ability to record and archive the ritual, bridging temple tradition with modern outreach, building a spiritually connected global community. We believe the hybrid model is the future of many such large scale devotional services. Now, how do you address skepticism or questions from devotees about watching online versus being present physically in such a ritual? Regular week addressed by clarifying the physical presence is ideal, but the heart presence is what truly matters. If one's heart is with the ritual, the divine recognizes the devotion. The fact that so many earnest devotees join remotely is itself service. We encourage the remote participants to prepare their space, sit with focus, and treat the broadcast as sacred, not as a casual viewing. We also educate that the Vedic injunctions emphasize the intention or bhava as much as the external actor, while temple presence has its benefits. Remote participation, when done sincerely, can also yield results. We ask participants to maintain reverence, avoid distractions, and treat the online session as a sacred sadhana for those 2 hours. In many rituals, there is a symbolic covering of the deity, in this case, covering the lingam with rice. What does this covering signify? The covering with rice can be interpreted on multiple levels. The lingam reaching and representing Shiva's energy becomes one with the nourishment of rice that sustains our life. By covering it, we symbolically surrender our food, our life force, our dependency, and we unify it with the divine. It also visually represents abundance. The lingam is dressed in rice, signifying fullness, richness of life. On an inner psychological level, it invites a devotee to be covered by divine nourishment. Just as the lingam is covered, we too surrender to being nourished, protected, and filled by the divine. It shifts from I eat to I am fed by life, I offer life back. It's a powerful shift in awareness. Now, what role does the family or community and agrarian dimension, the rice cultivation, play in this ritual's broader meaning? And then the ritual implicitly honors the farmer who grows the rice, the earth that bears it, and the rain that waters it, the cook who prepares it, and the plate on which we eat. When devotees perform the Annabhishekam, they participate in a culture of gratitude to all those layers behind the food. Furthermore, traditionally in agrarian societies, rice is a major harvest train. A ritual focusing on rice is also a ritual of thanksgiving for the harvest, thanking the divine for abundance, asking for future prosperity of fields, seeds, and food security. The Annabhishekam is thus deeply connected with the cycle of nature, cosmos, and society. Now, from the scripting of your event, you mentioned freshly prepared rice to the sacred Shivalingam, a prayer for abundance, prosperity, and spiritual nourishment. Could you expand on spiritual nourishment in this context? Rather, the spiritual nourishment is the inner food that sustains our being beyond the physical. Just as rice nourishes the body when we perform rituals with presence, devotion, awareness, we nourish the soul, the heart, the consciousness. In Anna Abhishekam, offering rice to Shiva becomes a metaphor for offering our lives as foundation, the body, breath, and food to the divine, and receiving divine sustenance in return. Also, prosperity and abundance are often taken only in material terms. But here we widen the definition. Spiritual nourishment means clarity of mind, purity of heart, and peace in relationships, alignment with purpose. By performing Annabhishekam with full awareness, we plant seeds of a spiritual abundance that manifest as inner peace and outer service. Now, how do you suggest to children or younger family members engage with the ritual, especially through online participation? Yeah, for children, we recommend a few simple steps. Have them help prepare a small plate of cooked rice or greens. Ask them to offer it to the small image of Lord Shiva or Lingam at home. Explain the meaning in simple words. We share our food with God, who shares life with us. At 4:30 p.m., when we start the broadcast, ask them to sit quietly for 5 minutes. Join in the Om Namah Shivaya chant. After the ritual, ask them how they felt and maybe get them to write or draw one thank you for their food today. From the Vedic side, we encourage families to light a lamp together, chant a short mantra like Om Namah Shivaya, and then distribute a small portion of rice from the cooked plate to each family member with the intention, may we all be nourished in body and soul. This makes the ceremony experiential for young minds, not just a spectator event. Now, isn't there a danger of ritual becoming mechanical when scaled to thousands of online participants? How do you keep it alive and meaningful? That is indeed a concern. The remedy is emphasize on inner engagement over outer spectacle. We keep pauses in the broadcast for silent reflection, invite each participant to set a personal intention, remind everyone that even though they are many, the act of offering is one on one. This rice I offer, this heart I open. We encourage asking oneself, what am I feeding? What am I offering? What do I receive? Also, we ensure that the priests and organizers maintain the sanctity. When the ritual at the center is done with full attention, the remote participation actually becomes respectful. We avoid flashy distractions in the broadcast. The focus remains in devotion, the mantra, and rice offering on the lingam. That helps keep the ritual from becoming mere performance. Now, what are the recommended post ritual practices for participants once the event is over? After the event, we invite participants to sit for 5 minutes in silence and absorb the energy. If you have the plate of rice or food you used at home, offer it now either by eating mindfully or sharing with someone or offering to a needy person. Write a short gratitude note. I am thankful for what sustains me. Light a lamp every evening for the next 3 days, remembering the Annabhishekam offering. From the Vedic angle, maintain the intention you set the Sankalpa during the ritual. Continue a simple practice once a week. Offer a small portion of rice or greens in your home altar with silent prayers. Keep your environment clean, your food habits conscious. In the moment of Kartik, you may also light a diya daily by your home altar to extend the momentum. Now, how does the concept of Annadana, food giving, connect to the Annabhishekam? Annadana, giving food, is considered one of the highest forms of charity in the Vedic tradition. When we perform Annabhishekam, we symbolically dedicate food to Lord Shiva. After the ritual, this sanctified food becomes prasadam, which is then shared or distributed. The act becomes an Annadan in miniature. In temple traditions, the cooked rice is sometimes shared with devotees or given to the needy. In the art of living service, so those offering, sharing, feeding are core. So Annabhishekam is not just about receiving blessings, but also about committing to become a channel of nourishment for others. Participants are encouraged after you accept the divine's nourishment, share it through divine and service. This alignment of ritual and service is very powerful. Nor are there any scientific or psychological benefits associated with the act of participation, even virtually, in such a ritual. Yes, many studies show devotional participation rituals or the group meditation all support reduced stress, improved well being, a sense of connectedness. Even when virtually connected, the intention, the focus, and sense of belonging can activate the soothing brain circuits, reduce cortisol, and strengthen bonding. In our community feedback, we often hear after the ritual, I felt calmer, clearer, more thankful. Psychologically, the ritual provides a structure, a sacred container, a focus for gratitude. The physical act of offering food, a symbolism of nourishment, and a communal dimension, even virtual, all boost feelings of meaning and purpose, which science says promotes psychological resilience and altruism and improved health outcomes. Now, for the upcoming event, do you recommend devotees send any kind of sankalpa or intention or offer in advance? Yes, Jagada, we invite all participants to make a sankalpa beforehand. Example, this year I offer my nourishment to Lord Shiva. May I and my family be blessed with abundance, peace, and spiritual growth. They may write it down, keep it beside a lamp or photo, and bring it with them mentally to the broadcast. We also suggest that if devotees wish, they can offer a small voluntary donation of rice or grain at their local temple or feed someone in need as a preparatory act of service and intention. This primes the heart and aligns the outer act of the rice offering with the inner readiness. Now, what advice would you give to someone who is new to Shiva worship or unfamiliar with Lingam rituals and yet wants to join this event? Yeah, I would say come with an open heart. You don't need to know all the details. Light a lamp, sit quietly, and place a plate of cooked rice or beans. Take a few conscious breaths, say Om Namah Shivaya 3 times. Watch the broadcast and feel yourself offering your nourishment to life. Let all else be guided. Add to that at home, you may draw a place or place a small symbol of Lord Shiva, example a lingam photo or even a stone, and begin by thinking of Shiva as a principle of transformation, of removal of fear, of oneness. Then the ritual becomes accessible and meaningful regardless of your prior tradition. Now, how do you ensure that the rice uses of good quality, symbolic purity, and proper preparation? We always source good quality rice, fresh whole grains, no contamination. Cook it freshly on the day of the event, ideally in a clean, sanctified area in the Gurukul. We ensure the cook is observant of purity, clean clothes, no intrusions, and that the rice is not overly hot when used in the ritual. Important, the hot cooked rice should not be anointed on the Lord. It should be at a temperature that can be borne by the hand. From our side, we communicate these details to remote participants so that they understand that even though they are not physically handling the rice, the same care and intention is present in its preparation, and this invites respect for food, for life, and for the ritual. Now, what is the significance of the arati and the distribution of prasadam after the ritual? The arati or the offering of light is the culmination of the ritual. The mantra offerings, the abhishekam, the rice covering, all lead to the arati, a moment of illumination, of receiving the divine's light. After that, the prasadam, the rice or food that has been sanctified, is distributed, or in remote context, participants mentally receive it or symbolically receive it with their food at home. This completes the cycle of offering, consecration, distribution, and assimilation. In our online event, when the Arati is done, we invite remote participants to ring a small bell at home, light a lamp, and mentally receive the prasadam. Then we ask them to share the feeling of gratitude with someone, family member, a friend, someone in need, thus translating the ritual into real world service and connection. Now, how do you view the community building aspect of such an event? Thousands joining online and its long term impact on your institution's mission. It enhances our mission of a human value, service, and worldwide community. When thousands join from across states and countries, we are building a spiritually connected global family that strengthens the capacity for global service, intercultural harmony, and collective awakening. For Vedic Dhamma Sansthan, this expands our reach. More people understand Vedic rituals, more feel included, more likely to engage in service, temple support, and food giving. In the long term, it means traditions are preserved and made relevant in modern times, not only as local temple events, but as global spiritual services. Now, are there any specific mantras or shlokas you recommend participants to revise and revisit after the event to deepen the experience? Yes, one key Oh, yes, Jaguar. One key mantra is the Sri Rudram from the Yajurveda, which praises Lord Shiva in many forms and is often recited during Annabhishekam. We also suggest Om Namah Shivaya, the Maha Mantra for Shiva. Participants may revisit these in the following days. We will share a downloadable PDF listing a small set of shlokas and their meanings. Example: Om Reem Kling Ing Brahmanand Pran, or a beach mantra for Shiva, or short verses like Annamna Nishindyat, which relate to rice's vital energy from the Shaiva tradition. Revisiting these strengthens the link between the ritual and one's daily sadhana. Now, could you explain how this ritual addresses the concept of abundance, not just materially but spiritually and socially? Yes, Jagat, materially we invoke prosperity or grain, food security, and livelihood. Spiritually, we invoke fullness, full moonness, and consciousness, full heart, full of gratitude. Socially, when many participate, when service flows, sharing of rice, feeding others, abundance becomes relational, communal, rather than the individual. The ritual thus becomes a microcosm. The rice is abundant, the lingam is covered, and devotees join in large numbers. That outer abundance reflects the inner abundance of devotion, inner abundance of compassion, and social abundance of service. This aligns with the Vedic ideal of Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, may all be happy, abundance for all, not just one. Now, is there any connection between Anna Abhishekam and ecological or environmental consciousness? Yes, Jagada, when we honor rice, which requires land, water, sun, air, we honor the ecosystem. When we ensure no grain goes to waste, we become conscious of consumption and waste. So the ritual becomes a subtle practice of environmental awareness. In fact, the temple traditions of Annabhishekam sometimes pour the rice into ponds or rivers, so aquatic life can feed. This is literally food sharing with nature. From a Vedic standpoint, acknowledging the five elements, the earth, water, fire, air, and space, in rice production and offering is deep ecological awareness in ancient ritual form. Now, some people may question, does my remote participation truly count as being part of the ritual? How do you respond? Jagadu, I respond yes. If you join with consciousness, devotion, attention, the ritual's essence is not only in physical proximity but in inner alignment. The divine sees the heart. Remote participation may lack the physical pouring of rice, but gains in sincerity of intention and breadth of participation. If you prepare your space, quiet your mind, and engage fully, you are part of the ritual. From the Vedic view, the key is bhava or devotional attitude and proper sankalpa or intention. The physical act is the outer form, participation in spirit is the inner form. When many join remotely with devotion, the collective momentum becomes the real. So, yes, remote participation can count provided it is done with integrity, reverence, and involvement. Now, how do you recommend participants set a long term practice based on this event so the momentum doesn't fade after the day? I recommend mark the calendar each year for Kartik Poornima and plan to join. Once a week after the ritual, set aside 5 minutes, light a lamp, offer a small plate of rice, offer a short thank you to life, incorporate a food offering into daily life. Before a meal, pause and offer gratitude. After a meal, think how you might share. Also, keep the sankalpa you made during the ritual visible, written down, revisit it monthly, participate in a local temple such as Annabhishekam or rice offering program. Engage your family community in food giving. In that way, the ritual becomes a living practice, not a one time ritual, an event. If a devotee cannot offer cooked rice, is there any alternative or symbolic offering you recommend? Yes, if you cannot cook rice, you may take a handful of uncooked rice or grains, place them in a clean bowl, light a lamp, chant Om Namah Shivaya, and mentally offer the grains with the intention I offer what I have. May the divine accept my offering and nourish my life. The sincerity matters more than the quantity of perfection or perfection. Also, you may offer any simple food, the roti or the fruits with devotion, or you may support the event by donating rice to a food bank or temple in your region, thereby participating in the spirit of Annabhishekam, food offering nourishment, even if the exact ritual form is different. Now, do you foresee this model of online Annabhishekam being taken up by other temples or institutions, and what might be its future trajectory? Jagadu, yes, I believe so. The hybrid model is both necessary and powerful in our age. Many temples already live stream the rituals, adding structured remote participation as the next step. I foresee more institutions offering live ritual participation, downloadable ritual guides, interactive moments, and global synchronized observances of traditional rites. From the Vedic perspective, preserving ritual traditions while adapting to modern channels is vital. I foresee a future where physical temple rituals are augmented with global virtual participation, creating interconnected communities and supporting local temple economies and traditional priesthoods with greater reach. It can ensure traditions stay alive and relevant. Now, what would you say to someone who believes the rituals are outdated? I just meditate or practice breathwork. I don't need this. Jagadav, I would say if you already practice meditation and breathwork in Sudarshan Kriya and the Vastrika Pranayama and the three-stage pranayamas, you are doing the inner dimension. Rituals like Annabhishekam complement that by providing an outer dimension. It engages the senses, the environment, the community, the food, the offering. It roots your inner practice in lived symbolic action and collective energy. It can enrich your sadhana. From our side, rituals are not meant to replace the inner practice, but to support it, they create a sacred container, raise the vibration, and invite discipline and devotion. If you feel disconnected from a ritual, you can start small, offer rice at home, light a lamp, and gradually experience how ritual plus meditation plus service form a holistic path. Finally, what is your key message to all participants and prospective attendees of the 2025 Anna Abhishekam event? Whether my messages come with an open heart or come with sincerity, whether you are physically present or joining online, your devotion matters. Use this opportunity to offer your nourishment, your gratitude, your intention. Let the rice you offer be a symbol of your complete being offered in service and surrender. Let the fullness of Kartik Purnima reflect the fullness of your life's purpose. I would add, make this not just an event but a turning point. Let the ritual catalyze a shift from where you are dependent on food to realizing you are part of the stream of life, from taking to sharing, from outer abundance only to inner abundance only. May this Anna Abhishekam bring peace, health, prosperity, and spiritual growth to all families everywhere. Har Har Mahadev. Now, how can the people register, offer their Sankalpa, and join the live stream for the event on 5 November 2025? Participants can register online via the link provided on the Vedic Dhammasana website. After registration, they receive a confirmation on email and the live stream link will be shared prior to the event. We encourage registering early, ensuring your internet connection and joining at least 10 to 15 minutes before 4:30 p.m. IST so you are ready. Yes, and once you join, please log in quietly, mute non-essential notifications, keep a small plate of rice or food in front of you, light a lamp, and treat your space as a sacred space. Many join from around the world, and you may join from any part of the home. But best if you face east or south or north, or basically basic east or north, not south. Sit comfortably, close eyes for 2 minutes, and center yourself, and then open as we begin together. Now, Jagadish, so what is your vision for how participants will feel after the ritual, and how will they carry that feeling into their lives? And I envision that after the ritual, participants will feel calmer, more connected to life's source, more grateful, and more open to service. They will feel a subtle shift. The food they eat will invite them to remember the farmer, the earth, the divine. They will carry this awareness into their daily meals, relationships, work, and service. My vision is that participants will not only receive blessings but become blessings themselves, that they will feel empowered to nourish others, to embody the principle of food is sacred, life is sacred, service is sacred, that they will integrate this ritual experience into living with awareness, compassion, and spiritual purpose. And in doing so, the ripple effect will extend beyond the event into families, communities, and the world. Jagadev.